Hello friends, welcome. I'm so glad you're here with me today. So I have another fun Halloween project for us today, and I think a lot of us, when we're making our Halloween cards, we're making them to send to our grandkids. So if we have teenagers, it's fun to do all that spooky, scary stuff because they think that's cool, but you might have younger grandkids that are still in the stages of dressing up like superheroes. So I know when my kids were young, there were several years where we were in superhero costumes of one kind or another. So I thought it would be fun to take the Super Kids stamp set and make a Halloween card out of it. So let's go ahead and switch our camera and take a look at our project. Alright, so here is what I came up with for my superhero cards, Halloween cards. And if you can't guess, I went with Batman. I just thought that because his costume is black, that they would look good on Halloween cards. So let's go ahead, but really any superhero that wears a cape, you could kind of color these up to be that superhero. So let's go ahead and take a look at our products. I actually have quite a stack of products here. For my paper pads, for this one, I use Nevermore, and for this one, I use the comics. I'm also using, let me grab it here, the Super Kids stamps and dies. And for some coordinating dies, for my sentiments, I use the Happy Large Word die. And I use the happy sentiments that go with them, and that makes it so you can say happy and then all kinds of words. So I use the Halloween word here. I also am using the nested webs, and specifically, let me get my finger on it, I'm using the second one in from the largest. And then I'm also using some edge dies that are the bats and bubbles, and I'll be using the bat die. And the only other product I believe that I'm using are the toner sheets, because I really thought these kind of upped the ante there to do the happy word in some foil. So I did use the A2 toner foil sheets. And if you like foiling, this is a great thing to have in your stash. You can foil a panel, which we'll go ahead and do in a moment. I'm just turning on my machine back here. There we go. There we go. Okay. So to begin, while that's heating up, let's go ahead and trim down one of our sheets of paper. I'll set these two out of the way. So this is the piece from the Nevermore set, and I'll show you how I did that. So I just want this to be A2 size, and I really wanted to save the moon. So I'm going to trim it this way. And then, whoops, wrong direction. We'll trim it to 5.5 right here. All right, so this little piece right here is where I'm going to cut my bats and the stars and moon, but I want my bats up there where it's the darkest in color. So I'm going to go ahead and run that through my machine. I like to conserve paper, especially these really fun patterned papers that Whimsy offers. I like to get the most out of them that I can. So I love it when I can use these little side pieces in my project so that I'm not throwing anything away. Now, one thing I like to do when I run it through my machine, I'm going to save it just like this. I'm not going to dump it all out. I'm just going to set this aside and leave it right there in the die still. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is take care of my web. So I've already gone ahead and cut this one out. And I know that I want these little light things coming out of him, or out of the sunburst, to kind of be like he's just jumping up and out of it. I want these going that direction. So I'm going to lay this right on my page the way I want it to be. Now I'm going to take my die and I want to put it on there so that it fits perfectly the way I want it to be. Okay, because If I don't do this, then if I just lay it down any old way, then my little design is not necessarily going to be the way I want it. So I'm doing this so that it'll look the way I want it to look. And now I'm going to position it how I want it, just like that. Go ahead, tape that down. And I'm going to run this through my die cut machine right there with this piece on there. Go ahead and run that through. And now for my other card, I chose this background. I wanted my little burst behind my girl to kind of have that radiation or radiant color going there. And this is just a piece I can save for another project. And let's see here, we'll pull that off. And I know that this is now going to be just perfectly where I want it. So same thing, I'm going to do this one, turn it a little bit, about like that. And again, I'll quickly just run that through my machine. So you are hearing my machine a bit more than usual, but I wanted to show you how I did some of this. So it's nice and easy and all fits the way you want it. Now this one will be a little bit easier, and I've gone ahead and cut down my other background from the comic section. Here, I'll set my cards over here out of the way. And this one's going to be a little bit easier because I already have the die right with it. So I won't have to search for how it fits together. It's going to already be fit together. There we go. And I know I want that about right here. Get that just right. All right, now I'm going to take my little superhero and just position that right where I want it. All right, I think that looks good. Maybe just a tad higher. And we'll go ahead and cut this one out. Now on this one, I'm going to check to make sure the sentiment fits up here. See. Yeah, I think that's going to fit just fine. Okay. I didn't want to have it moved up too far and not have it fit. So that's always something to think about when you've got a design going on, is to lay those out, make sure you've got it just right. All right, we'll go ahead and cut this one and we'll be ready to foil. So how's everyone doing today? Say hello there in the chat. Hi Katrina, how are you? What's it like in Florida? You guys having good weather? Here in Texas, it's definitely, it's our fall, which is probably more summer-like for most, but it's still pretty warm around here. And same thing, that one is now ready to go. So I'm done with my web die. I'll set that aside. And this one too is going to have that piece in the back that I can now use for another project, which I love the back side of this paper. I'll definitely use this on a different project. Okay, so before we go into our foiling, I'm going to go ahead and glue these down real quick. Hello, Wendy from the Netherlands. I absolutely love your country. I have been there several times. My husband and I love to travel, and I've been blessed to be in the Netherlands. I think 3, maybe 4 times, but we had a wonderful experience every single time and have just enjoyed your country. Beautiful, beautiful place. And so glad you're here with me. One thing I like to do when I travel, I have to admit, it's not my husband's favorite part of traveling, but it is some of my favorite parts of traveling, is finding the craft stores and the places that carry some craft products. They're definitely further and farther between in some countries, but every now and then you'll be in a little bookshop or, you know, and they'll have scrapbooking stuff there. And my husband always takes a picture of me when I have found scrapbooking supplies in different countries that we visit. And I have had some great stencils and just all kinds of things. Let's see, I'm trying to remember. We took a cruise on the, I'm trying to remember what river it was, but it went up, and we were in the Netherlands. And then we did a cruise one time of the fjords and saw a lot of beauty there. I'm afraid I'm not very good at pronouncing the names of the towns that but we've had some really great experiences there. So, okay, I think I've got these glued down. And we're ready to move on to the next. Go ahead and get that just right. All right, and by die cutting those together like that, you know, you're just sure to have a perfect fit. So, okay. As you can see, I've gone ahead and colored them up, and I did add some pop foam on the back, and it's a double thick foam, so they really stand out there. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is our foiling. So I have gone ahead and cut a piece of foil down to the A2 size, and it is a kind of an ombre foil there. And let's see, it is a colored foil that is made by Deco Foil. And what's the name of this one? Mystic Rainbow. This one's called Mystic Rainbow. So I specifically wanted that gold and purple there. And I've gone ahead and put in one of my A2 toner sheets. And I've also got a little plastic shim, and I find that with my Mink I get a little better coverage when I, one, let it heat up for a long time, and two, add that little plastic shim in there to make it just a little tighter as it goes through. Then I like to hold it in there with my finger and then kind of just press down, make sure there's no bubbles in there. Alright, now I'm just going to run that through my Mink back here. And I have my Mink set on number 4. So we'll let that do its thing. Okay, so I've got my other pieces in here. For each of my cards, I have stamped the word Halloween, and I stamped it in my Versamark ink, which is really glue, and heat embossed it. So I heat embossed one in gold and one in a pretty purple color. I also die cut my word happy twice out of yellow. I also die cut it twice out of black, and I went ahead and layered it, and I felt like that really helped my happy word to stand out. So you can see them here on my cards. When I didn't have them outlined, I felt like the words kind of got lost, but when I added that kind of shadow, it really helped them stand out. So that's what this is for. I went ahead and colored up the word super for one of my cards. And then as an accent, I'm going to use these fun stars on one of them. But then on the other one, I'm going to use these little bats. Alright, here's our inking, and you can see these splotches on here. That's because I did it the wrong direction once, but that won't affect our foiling at all. That's just where I got it on my transfer sheet here. So, alright, so there's our foiling. Let's go ahead and pull this off. Look at that. So I find putting that shim in there just makes it so I get beautiful foiling every time. And that's just a very thin piece of plastic. At some of the box stores, they have a product that's made for ink blending on. It's a thin piece of plastic that you ink blend on, and you can just purchase that and cut it down to the size of your Mink, and that works great as a shim. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and we're going to cut the word happy out of our foiled piece. So these cards came together really quickly. The coloring was really the only thing that took any time. Yeah, I think I have some of those sheets. I'll grab them real quick. I think they're back here behind me so that you can see what I use to make my little shim. Let me grab it for you. Yeah. Here they are. They're literally $1.99 and they're called ink blending mats, and they're just thin plastic, and there's 2 of them in here and one of them is a small one. That's a perfect shim. So if you're finding you're getting lots of spots and you're foiling, 1, let it heat up for about 5 minutes, and 2, add that shim, and I think that'll probably solve a lot of your issues. It sure has for me. Okay. Ooh, I love this word cut out of the kind of ombre color here. That's perfect. And I still have the rest of this piece that I'll save and do other things with. So, all right, there we go. We'll go ahead and glue this together, and we'll be ready to construct. So, I have a cute story to tell about superheroes and Halloween. I have 3 children, 2 boys and a girl, and when before I had my daughter, it was just my 2 boys were born. I think I was still pregnant with my daughter. And my son, who was probably just barely 4, maybe a little over 4, he wanted to be Batman. So I thought, cool, 2 little boys, I'll have Batman and Robin. So I bought Batman and Robin costumes. Well, the day before Halloween, I pull out the costumes for them to play in. And the one that was about 3 years old, maybe not quite 4, but 3, he was like, I don't want to be Bobbin. He couldn't say Robin. He couldn't say he's ours back then. And he called it Bobbin, but he didn't want to be Bobbin. He wanted to be Batman too. So we had to scramble and go all over town looking for a second Batman costume the night before Halloween. And we finally found one. And so we have pictures of our boys being Batman and Batman, because nobody wanted to be Robin. So that's why Batman has always just been our favorite at Halloween, because of the Halloween that we had our 2 little Bat boys. So I thought about maybe switching it up. On this one, I had my boy here on this one and my little Bat girl on this one, but I wanted to kind of lay it out here and see how we liked it the other way around. So, and I may end up just going back to the way I had it. I can tell that I probably will, because I liked it that way better. So we're just going to go back to the way that it was. There we go. Sometimes the way you start is the right way, right? So, okay. Go ahead and do that. And on this one, I liked it saying Happy Super Halloween, since we're going with superheroes. But on this one, I think just because of the kind of vibe with that eerie background, I left the super word out. All right, let's go ahead and glue down all of these, and then we'll add our bats and our stars last. So I have 2 little girls as my granddaughters now, and I don't know what they're going to be for Halloween. I don't know if their mommy has thought of it yet. They're just 2 and 1. Halloween was always a really big deal at our house. We always really enjoyed picking out costumes, and we always got together with friends from church to hand out candy and walk around the neighborhoods together, and it was something that we really looked forward to. And we still go over to the same people's home to hand out candy as we did. But of course, all of our kids are grown now. But it's always been a fun holiday. I mean, involves a lot of candy and dressing up, right? So lots of opportunities to have fun. All right. There's our little Batgirl, almost complete, not quite. So I'd love to hear it. If you have a favorite Halloween memory, you can put it there in the chat or over on the Whimsy YouTube site. We would love it if you share a Halloween memory. Now I'm going to place my happy down just a little bit because I really liked putting a bat there on the moon. Whoops. Hold that down just a little bit. Now for my happy here, I used a more glittery foil, a prism. It's got like prisms on it. So I thought that was a little more Batmanish than the matte gold. As long as there's candy, you're in. I'm with you. Do you have a favorite candy, Katrina? I definitely do. I have to admit, I love peanut butter. So I have always loved Reese's. And now that they make the Reese's like pumpkin shapes, like my birthday's in March, and my son always gives me a bag of Reese's eggs. But now that they're making them in little pumpkins, I've been getting like a little bag of Reese's pumpkins, even though it's not my birthday. So, okay. I left these all in there, so it'll be nice and easy to just turn this over. And I'm going to use my little pokey tool here and just poke out the bats, the ones that I want to use. So I think that is enough. And we're going to place our bats around our card. And I like this big bat just flying right up here out of the moon. A bat in the moonlight is always creepy and fun. I do have lots of funny bat stories, but my sister is particularly afraid of bats, and for some reason they get in her house often, so we just have a lot of funny bat stories in our family of my sister chasing bats. Ooh, you like Twix? Yes, that's a favorite too. I don't usually eat the Twix because my husband loves them so much that I save those for him. Although, is it Twix or Kit Kat that came out with the mint version? I think it might be Kit Kat, but we really like that mint and chocolate Kit Kat that they came out with. All right. Put one more kind of down in here. And then for these three little ones right here, I'm actually going to stack them, or at least two of them. I think I'll just stack two. With these little tiny things, to glue it, it's much better if you have a pair of tweezers, but we're going to stack these two. Whoops, get around there, buddy. All right. Okay, so now that I have it kind of stacked too deep, I'm actually going to put this little Batman right here on his chest. Now on the little girl, she had a star on her hat and all of that, and I didn't have any bats anywhere else, so I just left her a superhero dressed in black. But for the little guy here, I went ahead and put a bat that covered up that star. Oh, there we go. And I think I'm not going to use this other big one, but I think I'm going to add one more little bat over here on the other side. There we go. All right. Ooh, I think that's fun. I know my boys would have loved that. And we want some sparkly goodness over here on our little girl as well. So I'm just going to add 3 of these stars. And I'll use this little one. So this particular stamp set of the Super Kids, maybe I want it over here this time. Let me put it over here. All right, so this stamp set called Super Kids is great for birthdays and, you know, lots of different celebrations for your younger kids that love the superheroes. Let me switch my screen back. There we go. But I don't know if you've ever thought to use them for Halloween. So if you have that aged child that you might be sending a card to that loves superheroes for Halloween, this might be an idea that you want to go for. So if you don't have the Super Kids set, there is a link at the end of this video that you can check those out. So, okay. Well, thank you so much for tuning in, and I look forward to crafting with you again next week. Have a good one. Bye-bye.